Padma Shri Padma Bhushan, Dr. Anil Prakash Joshi ji. He needs no introduction. He is a man of personality, known for his concerns for green earth and environment. Sir, मैं आपको उद्बोधन हेतु मंच पर आमंत्रित करता हूँ.
A warm welcome to the delegates, those who coming from the different part of the world. This is a very important Congress, in my opinion, as I represent community of this state, and we are working across the country with the people. And I would like to focus 2-3 important issues which I think the Congress must seriously contemplate and think of. Biggest challenge that we have now is that the countryside development across the globe is the priority of political people, the socially also, by all standard. If we are becoming city smart to smarter, but the countryside are still lagging behind, that's one challenge. Another very important challenge, rising disasters, one after the other, and unfortunately, the heat waves, the warming of the globe have been taking, and the steps that we take one ahead, 10 we are pushed back by the disasters. That's unfortunate part of it. And this is one reason which we really need to think. We need disaster-free development strategy. We cannot deny development at all. Because why? Because those who have not been the cause of the disaster that we have know that the way we have done the global warming, the rural people of the world have not contributed towards. Their share of development is still awaited. And therefore, at the same time, the global warming, as I said, will also induct one after the other kind of the disasters. You know, we have recently been facing the several one, and this state also. But the state that you are now, unfortunately, have been in the disaster around the year for one or other reason. And you will also agree that we were the one who faced fire, another very important disaster, and that we said that why not the fire should also be taken as part of a disaster. And to us, it has to be redefined disaster, because anything which go beyond the control is a disaster to all of us. Now take the example, current one, the tunnel one, which Dr. Durgesh pointed out. Now the tunnel, right from Chief Minister to Prime Minister, and I know Mr. Chief Minister currently must also be stuck in the tunnel only. He must have been his mind there only. But the issue is how helpless we are. We cannot deny development. We need, and I believe that the tunnels are better than the roads that we have been building. But what happens, that's all before you. The issue is, it's not the case of this part of the country. Across the globe, disaster will keep on coming, repeating all time. Therefore, I think we need to have something in considerations. You see, you will have to agree who are more victim in the disaster, resource-rich zone and the rural community of the world. If you look into the data that we have, the 90% after 1990, whatever disaster hit us, it was the rural community and developing world, 90% were the sufferer. So that does mean those who have not been part of development that we had are suffering. Our share of development is still weighted, and therefore a disaster-free development should be the basic thought we have to work with. And also I believe what we needed, in fact, we aren't too big equipped with. See, whole country attention was there, media was there, but we were helpless. I know the Chief Minister could not sleep. I know personally about it. And his whole mind and whole attention was there in that tunnel. And not only he, most of the bureaucrats, most of the officials were there in the tunnel. And what it is, it may happen anywhere in the world. Therefore, this lesson add a chapter to the disaster whenever working on that anything of such can come, and then issue comes whether we are equipped, we are well equipped with, one hand, we have a challenge of development that we cannot deny. We need development. We wanting the development all time. That's why we had a statehood. We were demanding. And you cannot stop people in the countryside, rural part that we do not need. And second important, resource-rich zones are more affected, whether it is the mountain or the ocean. You know, because you are a scientist, you have many research papers are coming up and you are proud of that too. But the fact is, the community around those resource-rich zones are more affected than it. Urban can manage, but the rural cannot. Therefore, I think one thing which I believe really need to review the Congress, what happened in the last 5 years, and then what may happen tomorrow after seeing the 5-year disaster and the way the disasters are changing and one another things are coming on our head. Second important thing, especially in the climate change front. Second important to us is a strategy, a mechanism that we really need to reach to the first victim of a disaster. And that doesn't happen, unfortunately. The relief comes later on, but the first victim, unfortunately, becomes the rural again, if you analyze it. That's another important, to my opinion. And equipping us, the tunnel is an example. That lesson, go to the Congress. And third and the last one, development and disaster should not be independently discussed. It has to be together. The disaster said to be sometime because of the development that has been a very popular voice, unfortunately. But to me, what you cannot stop others to do and enjoy what other their counterparts are enjoying. Therefore, disaster and development should be in one platform. Unless we do that, I don't think we will be able to bring any solution. And that strongly, I again believe, the disaster-free development should be our slogan. And I thank Mr. Chief Minister, who has been by all time repeatedly saying ecology inclusive economy for the state, where we need ecology and economy both. But you know, he is also stuck when he is helpless and there is no technology and the support system, we become helpless. I think this helplessness is the one issue which we seriously think of. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your brief address and conveying some of the major concerns for the state. Now I would like to invite Dr. G. Mahentesh, founder, Samarthanam International, Bangalore, for his address. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for him.
Good morning, everybody. Honorable Chief Minister, sir, Honorable Lieutenant Governor ji, all the eminent distinguished guests on and off the dais, Dr. Durgesh Pant sir, Ganshal ji, Shambhisha ji, and all my distinguished people on the dais. First of all, I would like to congratulate the government and the organizers for organizing this wonderful event here, World Congress on Disaster Management, and making it inclusive, having someone like me with us, with you all, especially on the dais. That shows the concern of Honorable Chief Minister Sir, Durgesh Pantji, and all the organizers. Generally, disability doesn't find its place in development agenda. Even if it finds, it is lost. But here you see the genuine concern of the organizers. Durgesh sir, thank you very much for especially having me and my organization, Samarthanam Trust for the Disabled. As Joshi sir mentioned, I've been hearing about Honorable Chief Minister sir personally leading from the front the supervision and monitoring and guiding what is happening in that tunnel. I think every state needs a progressive, genuinely concerned Chief Minister like you, sir. I'm very honored, sir. Dear friends, An inclusive approach, I think very essential. As rightly said by the person who just now spoke, sir mentioned how people suffer for which they are not responsible. For all the man-made disaster, I think it's important that before we conceptualize any developmental initiative, we got to think about the ecology, the environment, and the people who live around. So Samarthanam Trust is a 27-year organization committed to empower persons with disability and non-disabled also, because we believe in inclusion. Because they're all part of they're all the integral part of the society. They all have to live together, and unless we ourselves empower and empower the last person, most marginalized, are disabled. So the unwavering commitment of state governments like Uttarakhand and under the able leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, India is really poised for overall development, supporting the last man. Divyang itself is such a great gift our Honorable Prime Minister has given in recognition of the positive qualities of persons with disability. So if opportunities are given for people with disability at the right time, disability automatically loses its first three letters. So if disability loses its first three letters, what remains? Ability. So dear friends, it's our responsibility to ensure that every person gets their due support system so that they overcome either their disability or challenges. And today we are talking about the disaster, DRR. So we have to get ourselves prepared to address any eventuality, both natural and man-made. So wars are happening, unfortunately. We are responsible. And disaster creates a lot of people with disability. How we all together can address representative, the gentleman Shami Shaza, who leads UN and represents UN in our country. UN is leading from the front. Samarthanam is also a ECOSOC member of United Nations. So Samarthanam would like to commit itself to join hands in whatever limited way it gets us. Now technology, you are the man who has done so much on technology, assistive devices, technology devices, can make huge difference, which can help us to overcome our disability and become contributors. Right from the inception, Samarthanam believes in equal participation in every possible activities, programs, especially in case of disaster, because disaster doesn't spare anybody, it's merciless. In the recent COVID time, it was a disaster, worldwide disaster. None was spared. So Samarthanam decided to actively participate with governments. We spoke to a lot of corporate supporters, donors. They overwhelmingly supported us to contribute our little bit to the entire country. We could do a little bit of support to Jolly Grant Hospital near airport in Uttarakhand. We could just give away some PPE kits in the beginning days of COVID. So like that, Samarthanam loves to work across without any boundaries. So I've been discussing with Durgesh sir what are the various ways Samarthanam can share its expertise and also take learnings from Devbhoomi so that every disabled becomes capable contributors and taxpayers of the country. I'm sure you all know, with one conclusion I would like to finish. Samarthanam, through its Cricket Association for the Blind in India, manages cricket for the blind. Many times we had the privilege of hosting our cricket tournaments under the able leadership of Durgesh Pansar, and Uttarakhand government also has supported us. So we'll continue to seek your support and we'll continue to add little value whatever we can in your ambitious DRR. Together let's visualize, envisage, in advance, anticipate, because mountainous areas are more disaster prone. So I really appreciate the courage and the bravery of people who have demonstrated who live here. So with this note, I'll also be joined by my team. We'll be talking about more inclusive approach to disaster management in the panel in the evening. I request everybody to come. I also would like to acknowledge the presence of my team, Mr. Deshpande. He did a lot of work, especially in tsunami. Being himself totally blind, he did a lot of work in tsunami. And Shailendra, the Secretary of North Zone of Bank Cricket International. So once again, I would like to extend my sincere most gratitude to Professor Durgesh Pansar, Ghanshal sir, and all the organizers, the government Chief Secretary sir and Additional Chief Secretary, for having Samarthanam, and more than that, adding inclusion, adding disability as part of this WCDM. So my heartiest congratulations, and I wish this event a super success. I am sure a lot of recommendations will come which will act as a torch bearers for future disaster management. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mahantesh. Ladies and gentlemen, a man who walks the talk, a person who is facing challenges but then has overcome almost every bit of it. A huge round of applause for him. Now, we have Mr. Rajendra Ratnam, the Executive Director of NIDM. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be having a lot of deliberations, discussions and wisdom insights from Mr. Ratnam in various technical sessions as well as the plenary. So I request you for your brief address in the inaugural. Thank you.
माननीय मुख्यमंत्री महोदय, उपराज्यपाल महोदय, UN रेजिडेंट कमिश्नर श्री सोम्बी शार्प जी, चीफ सेक्रेटरी साहब, एडिशनल चीफ सेक्रेटरी, डिग्नेटरीज ऑन द डायस ऑफ द डायस एंड डियर डेलीगेट्स। मुझे संकेत मिल गया है कि मैं कम बोलूं क्योंकि दूसरे सेशन में भी बोलना है। माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी, मैं आपका सर्वप्रथम हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं कि आज आपने न केवल देश को बल्कि दुनिया को आज उत्तराखंड की देवभूमि में इस बहुत ही विशेष विषय के ऊपर जो आज के समय में बहुत प्रासंगिक है उसके ऊपर इतना बड़ा आयोजन करने में एक लीडरशिप लिया है। उसके लिए मैं भारत सरकार और अपनी ओर से एनआईडीएम की ओर से आपका हृदय से धन्यवाद व्यक्त करता हूं। मैं दो ही बातें कहना चाहूंगा, एक एनआईडीएम के बारे में, दूसरी डिजास्टर के बारे में। भारत आज की यह कार्यक्रम इस बात का भारत सरकार का और राज्य सरकार की प्रतिबद्धता का उदाहरण है कि हम कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग के लिए कितने कमिटेड हैं। और भारत सरकार का यह कमिटमेंट दुनिया में पहली बार किसी संस्थागत तरीके से किसी राष्ट्र ने योकोहामा कॉन्फ्रेंस जो कि 1994 में हुई थी, 1994 में हुई थी, उसके पश्चात अगर किसी देश ने एक राष्ट्रव्यापी संस्थान नेशनल सेंटर फॉर डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट किसी ने सर्वप्रथम योकोहामा कॉन्फ्रेंस की लर्निंग से लिया था तो भारत था। और ये एनआईडीएम की जो जड़ें हैं वो उसी नेशनल सेंटर ऑफ डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट में है। तो मैं आज आपके सामने बहुत ही गर्व के साथ में खड़ा होता हूं कि मैं ऐसी संस्थान को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा हूं जो कि दुनिया का सबसे पुराना उदाहरण है। और हम ग्लोबल लेवल पे जब देखते हैं कि 2015 में चाहे वो पेरिस एकॉर्ड हो, चाहे वो सेंडाई फ्रेमवर्क हो, बहुत ही बड़ी बड़ी बातें की गई और बड़े सारे राष्ट्रों ने इस बात को समझा कि किस तरह से जलवायु परिवर्तन और बढ़ते हुए आपदा खतरों को निपटने के लिए हमें और ज्यादा व्यापक रूप से हमें जो लीस्ट डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज हैं, डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज हैं, उनको टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर करना होगा, उनको रिसोर्सेज देने होंगे क्योंकि क्लाइमेट चेंज के लिए ये देश the countries which have done the least crime to the environment are the ones which are paying the highest cost in terms of the increasing intensity and the losses to disaster. And therefore, it is very important that this forum also deliberates that the failure of the West in terms of funding and their meeting the commitments made at the Paris Accord have to be now, we have to come that the South-South cooperation, the global cooperation at the South-South has to be increased and intensified to see that we are able to meet the challenges of climate change and increasing intensity and frequency of disasters. हमें DRR की mainstreaming की जो प्रधानमंत्री, the Indian Prime Minister has given the 10-point agenda which goes, I call it Sendai Plus, that And in that context, I think we have to do the mainstreaming of the disaster risk reduction and this knowledge networking which is created today. I'll be very happy that NIDM will help the state government of Uttarakhand to see that the action points emerging out of this conference are taken forward. मैं अपनी बात पूरी करने से पहले माननीय मुख्यमंत्री महोदय के संज्ञान में ये बात लाना चाहूंगा कि 2022 में NIDM की पहल पर इसी राज्य में उत्तराखंड में आपकी एकेडमी में हमने एक सारे हिमालय के राज्यों के साथ में एक समीक्षा की थी और उस समीक्षा में उभर कर आया था कि हिमालय के राज्यों की जो समस्याएं बड़ी यूनिक है और उसके लिए एक हिमालयन डिजास्टर रिस्क रिडक्शन का सेंटर होना चाहिए जो कि सारे शोध को और सारी कैपेसिटी को एक जगह लेके आए और उसके लिए एक प्रस्ताव राज्य सरकार को दिया गया था कि अगर भूमि का आवंटन होता है तो भारत सरकार उसमें आगे आकर उसमें एक संस्थान NIDM की एक शाखा हम जो कि हिमालयन डिजास्टर रिस्क रिडक्शन के ऊपर केंद्रित हो उसका दिया था। उसके बारे में हम राज्य सरकार से अगर जल्दी कोई फैसला आता है तो हमें प्रसन्नता होगी और हम राज्य सरकार के हाथ मजबूत करना चाहेंगे। अपनी बात को यहीं पे विराम देते हुए ये कुछ आपकी अनुमति के साथ में अपनी 2 काव्य पंक्तियों के साथ में अपनी बात को संपन्न करूंगा कि वेदना में कह रही है हिम शिखर की वादियां, वेदना में कह रही है हिम शिखर की वादियां, पर्वतों की पीर का उपचार होना चाहिए। आपदा को पालना या आपदा को टालना, फैसला यह आज आकार लेना चाहिए। धन्यवाद।
Thank you so very much, sir, and we are quite excited that we are going to have much more than this in the plenary session from your side. Thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, now this is my duty to invite Ms. Radha Rathodi, IAS Additional Chief Secretary, Home and Secretariat Administration, Government of Uttarakhand, a lady par excellence, an all-rounder, a person who is known for her integrity, sincerity, and toughness for the job. Ma'am, we welcome you on behalf of the organizing committee.
Thank you. आज इस विश्व आपदा प्रबंधन सम्मेलन के मुख्य अतिथि माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी, माननीय राज्यपाल जी, मुख्य सचिव कमल घनशाला जी, डॉक्टर महंतेश, डॉक्टर अनिल प्रकाश जोशी जी, श्री राजेंद्र रत्नू जी, श्री शोम्बी शाह, दुर्गेश पंत जी, कमल घनशाला जी, आई थिंक आई हैव ऑलरेडी मेंशन्ड, आनंद बाबू जी, आप सबका और यहाँ इस सारस्वत सभागार में उपस्थित सभी भाइयों बहनों और बहुत बड़े बड़े लोग यहाँ बैठे हैं, मैं सबका नाम नहीं ले रही हूँ। बहुत सारे वाइस चांसलर्स हम लोगों के हैं, बहुत ही विद्वान यहाँ पे गैदरिंग है और आप सबके सामने माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने इसका शुभारंभ किया है, इस वर्ल्ड कांग्रेस ऑन डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट। ये उत्तराखंड के लिए बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण एक कोलैबोरेशन, कम्युनिकेशन, इनोवेशन जो आपने मोटो दिया है, इसका यहाँ पर विचार विमर्श होगा 4 दिन तक और निश्चित रूप से जो देहरादून डिक्लेरेशन होगा ये बहुत दूर जाएगा हम लोगों को डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट में एक नई दिशा दिखाने के लिए। अभी जो डॉक्टर महंतेश ने कहा इंक्लूसिवनेस की बात, मैं भी आपकी बात से सहमत हूँ और मैं माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी का और दुर्गेश पंत जी का और सभी ऑर्गेनाइजर्स का बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहती हूँ कि आपने इस कॉन्फ्रेंस को इतना इंक्लूसिव बनाया। और इंक्लूसिवनेस में जो दूसरा बिंदु आता है वो है महिलाओं और बच्चों पे आपदा, कोई भी आपदा आती है या क्लाइमेट चेंज होती है तो उसका महिलाओं और बच्चों पे क्या प्रभाव होता है। तो मैं चाहूँगी कि इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में आप इस पे भी कुछ विचार करेंगे और कुछ आपके रिकमेंडेशंस आएंगे, क्योंकि जब भी कोई आपदा आती है तो जो अंतिम छोर पे जो व्यक्ति है उसके ऊपर सबसे ज़्यादा प्रभाव होता है उस आपदा का या डिजास्टर का या क्लाइमेट चेंज के जो दुष्परिणाम है उनका प्रभाव अंतिम व्यक्ति पे सबसे अधिक होता है। और हम लोगों ने ये भी देखा है कि उत्तराखंड क्योंकि एक पर्वतीय प्रदेश है, यहाँ का जो पर्वतीय अंचल है वहाँ पे पूरा जो बीड़ा संभाला हुआ है, जो आर्थिकी संभाली हुई है, वो वहाँ की महिलाओं ने संभाली हुई है। तो कोई भी अगर डिजास्टर आता है या कोई एक्सीडेंट होता है, कोई लैंडस्लाइड आती है, या जैसे अभी ये टनल में हमारे श्रमिक भाई फंसे हुए हैं, तो इन सब का इम्पैक्ट उनके परिवार वालों पे, उनकी महिलाओं पे बहुत ज़्यादा होता है। तो मेरा अनुरोध है आयोजकों से कि इस विषय पे भी यहाँ आप विचार विमर्श करेंगे। और मैं यहाँ पर सभी आयोजकों को बहुत बधाई देना चाहती हूँ, क्योंकि मुझे पता है पिछले 2-3 हफ्तों में आप लोगों ने कितनी कठिन परिस्थितियों में ये पूरा आयोजन किया है। विशेष रूप से इसमें दुर्गेश पंत जी, घनशाला जी, सचिव आपदा प्रबंधन नेगी जी, मतलब बहुत सारे लोग हैं जो दिन रात इसमें लगे रहे, और आपने इतना अच्छा आयोजन किया। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पे इतने सारे देश के लोग यहाँ पे उपस्थित हैं, तो ये एक कोऑर्डिनेशन में भी एक केस स्टडी हो सकती है कि आपने कैसे इस सेमिनार को आयोजित किया। और आप सबको बहुत बहुत बधाई, और माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। सर, आपका जो एक मूल मंत्र है इकोनॉमी एंड इकोलॉजी, कैसे हम लोग संतुलित तरीके से इकोनॉमी को आगे बढ़ाएंगे और इकोलॉजी को भी सुरक्षित रखेंगे, अनिल जोशी जी ने भी उस पर प्रकाश डाला। और यही हम लोगों की थीम है जो इन्वेस्टर्स समिट आने वाला है, जिसमें माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का आशीर्वाद उत्तराखंड को मिलेगा 8 दिसंबर को। इन्वेस्टर्स समिट की भी जो थीम है वो पीस टू प्रॉस्पेरिटी है, तो वो भी इकोनॉमी और इकोलॉजी को जोड़ते हुए, अगर आपदा नहीं आएगी तो पीस रहेगी, शांति रहेगी, और शांति रहेगी तो प्रगति होगी, प्रॉस्पेरिटी आएगी। मुझे आमंत्रित करने के लिए मैं पंत जी को और सभी आयोजकों को धन्यवाद देना चाहती हूँ। आपने मुझे मंच पे बैठा के महिलाओं को एक प्रतिनिधित्व दिया, वो भी एक इंक्लूसिवनेस है, तो आपने महिलाओं को इंक्लूड किया, उसके लिए धन्यवाद। मेरी बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं हैं इस वर्कशॉप, इस सेमिनार के लिए। मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि आप बहुत ही अच्छे निष्कर्ष निकलेंगे और हम लोगों को क्लाइमेट चेंज को फाइट करने में बहुत सहयोगी होंगे। धन्यवाद। जय भारत, जय उत्तराखंड।
Thank you, ma'am. You are not only the representative, actually you are the role model for everyone sitting out here in the hall, and the way you have been leading the administrative setup of the state, it is miraculous. Thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, now it is my present duty to invite Dr. S.S. Sandhu, IAS, the Honorable Chief Secretary of the state, for his brief address. A man known for his administrative capabilities, a man leading from the front at almost every level of the administrative set of the state. Sir, we welcome you on behalf of the organizers.
Honorable Chief Minister of Uttarakhand, Shri Pushkar Singh Dhami ji, Admiral D.K. Joshi ji, Honorable Lieutenant Governor of Andaman, dignitaries on the dais, delegates from abroad and India, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, on behalf of the state government, I welcome you all to this beautiful state and beautiful city of Dehradun. And this is one of the most ideal season to visit Uttarakhand and Dehradun. I hope you will be able to enjoy your stay here. This is a very, very pertinent topic for Uttarakhand, as we are all aware. That justifies the hosting of this conference in this town and in this state. Whatever I wanted to say, many speakers before me, they have already mentioned it. For the sake of time and to avoid the reputation, I will not be saying all that. I'll just be posing a couple of food for thought. This is a very frequent question that the so-called development projects, they bring disaster. When you visit different parts of Himalayas, not only in Uttarakhand, or other hills also in other countries, wherever the projects are, sometimes landslides and other small or big disasters, they do happen. And when I travel in Uttarakhand, I see the roads which were built, say, 2-3 decades ago, Now they have become so natural, there is hardly any landslide near them. Exceptions can be there. And when this all-weather road project started in Uttarakhand, there was some criticism because whenever you make a new road, it's bound to invite some landslides. It's there. But with proper treatment, with proper mitigations, over a period of time, there are treatments available and we have been doing it and we are doing it and we will be successful. But it's wrong to say that only these development projects will bring about landslides. When I travel in Uttarakhand in the hills on a helicopter, which most of you, if you have done that, must have seen, there are places where there's no habitation nearby, there's no project nearby, even then there are landslides. So, my dear friends, as long as this nature has made gravity, which pulls the stone or whatever is there, because we are in the hills, there is slope, and the gravity, nature has provided gravity, and it's the job of the gravity to pull everything down. And whenever the excessive rain happens, the soil which binds in the lower Himalayas and middle Himalayas, all our mountains, you know, they are fragile, they are stones bound by loose soil. Whenever excessive rain happens, the soil is washed away, the stones start rolling down, whether there is a project or no project, landslide does happen. Now this is a challenge, and we can't wish it away as long as the gravity is there. So we have to be realistic, and as far as this development is concerned, I am aware of a village about a decade back I visited in this state. This village was in a forest area, and we were not getting clearance to make a road. And you know, once some people came from that village and told me that the previous night there was a lady who, you know, went into labor. She, you know, was about to deliver a baby, and there was no road for 10 kilometers. So 4 people put her on the cart, carried her for 10 kilometers. Then they reached the road head, and from there, some local jeep carried that lady to the hospital. So, environment and all this ecology is very, very important. That's why our CM Saab keeps saying we have to maintain a balance of ecology and development, but we can't. If you go to that village, visit that village, then you realize how important this basic infrastructure is. So we are all aware, so we have to strike a balance. Now this is a challenge before all of us, and we would like you to discuss this issue, how to strike this balance. There cannot be a general formula, there cannot be a general prescription. It will vary from situation to situation, from village to village, from project to project. Second thing, I will not take much time. Second thing which I want to throw before you and question before the international delegates, if they have some experience, we would like to get that benefit, this state. 72% of the area of this state is under forest, which is really rare. Now, all of us are talking that this frequency of disaster is increasing because of the climate change. And everyone also knows, sitting here, that deforestation is one of the most important reasons for climate change. Which means this state is contributing by carrying 72% of the area as forest. Not only this state, it's benefiting the state, it's helping to lessen the speed of climate change. But is there a way, there's a cost to carry such a huge forest? You know, if there is a state, there's no forest, they can make a road immediately, they don't have to cut the forest, they don't have to pay NPV and all those compensatory afforestation, etc. There's a huge cost to the state to maintain 72% of its area as a forest, and the whole world is benefited. Is there any way? Or is there any example in any other part of the world where there is a system of compensation because the state is contributing towards lessening the speed of climate change? This is the only question I wanted to throw before you. If we have some answer or some example, I again welcome you. I hope your stay is comfortable, and I would wish you that after this conference is over, you extend your stay, enjoy this beautiful stay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for this clear and precise insight. Definitely, we need to strike a balance between development, ecology, economy in this state. Thank you so much for your gracious presence, sir. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Mr. Shambi Sharp, the UN Resident Coordinator for India, New Delhi. He is the representative of UN Secretary General, and he carries the highest ranking of the UN officials based in the country, carrying a diplomatic rank equivalent to ambassador for a foreign state. Ravi, you are welcome to this beautiful habitat of Himalaya, state of Uttarakhand.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chief Minister Uttarakhand, Sri Pushkar Singh Dhami, Honorable Lieutenant Governor of Andaman and Nicobar, Admiral D.K. Joshi, Honorable Chief Secretary of Government of Uttarakhand, Dr. Sandhu, all of the dignitaries on the dais, and all of you here in the room representing so many different countries from across the world and so many different entities key to this integrated response to disaster risk, and especially to the first responders here in the hall and those who I had the opportunity to see in the exhibition space. Welcome. It's a great honor. Mujhe Dehradun mein pehli baar aakar bahut khushi hui. It's a great honor to be here in this beautiful, utterly beautiful Uttarakhand and Dehradun on behalf of the United Nations in India and on behalf of the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Great honor to join you for this 6th World Congress on Disaster Management, which has, I believe we can all agree, emerged as a leading conference for experts and practitioners in the field of disaster risk reduction. I'm delighted that we're able to come together as a result of the efforts of the government of Uttarakhand, the Disaster Management Initiatives and Convergence Society, Uttarakhand State Disaster Management Authority, Uttarakhand State Council for Science and Technology, as well as the other colleagues. I'm very pleased the United Nations agencies have also been able to support this gathering. Dear colleagues, it is no secret that the world stands at a critical juncture. Risks are being created in our today faster than they are being reduced. This is a global affliction. No community anywhere is immune. And I would like to join the previous speakers in sparing our thoughts for those who are affected, including the workers in the tunnel, and to recognize the incredible efforts of the Chief Minister and of the first responders seeking to secure their safety at any moment. Ladies and gentlemen, the world is trying to recover from the aftershocks of the COVID pandemic. Yet, at the same time, we face a polycrisis of war, of debt, of food and insecurities, overwhelming our collective ability to cope. At the Global SDG Summit in New York just a couple of months ago, the world came together for a stocktake, and the news was desperate. The SDG global goals, only 15% are on track. Fully, almost 1/3 have come to a halt or are actually in reverse. We are living in a world in which the only certainty is uncertainty. Record-breaking heat, wildfires, flooding, extreme weather are already devastating lives across the planet. This is the new reality, the triple planetary crisis, which is our greatest existential threat. According to FAO and WMO, disasters are occurring 300% more often today than they were just 3 decades ago. The World Bank estimates that natural catastrophes have caused losses in excess of $228 billion in the past 3 years alone. Here in India, of course, given the geographic realities, we know that it is one of the most disaster prone countries exposed to hazards, feeling this reality acutely, from devastating floods to unseasonal monsoon rains that continue to change. And therefore, the United Nations in India is very proud and pleased to work closely with the government of India under government leadership at center and at state level to increase institutional and community resilience, helping to integrate climate change into adaptation and mitigation and DRR measures as a part of core development policies. The cruelty, as already mentioned, is that natural hazards and climate change are affecting those who contributed to it the most. Who contributed to it the least, they are being affected the most. The United Nations estimates that over 90% of all disaster-related deaths occur in developing economies. Over 2.5 million lives have been lost since 1980. And the majority of the 50 countries most vulnerable to climate change are also suffering the most from debt burdens, forcing them to choose between health, education, and resilience. Disasters deepen gender inequalities, as mentioned, with women suffering from higher mortality in natural disasters and facing more the effects, the impacts on the primary economy and on agriculture. Yet, colleagues across the world, there is also good news and reasons for optimism. First, we have the solutions at hand. The SDGs remain our only blueprint for peace and prosperity, together with the Paris commitments to keep the 1.5-degree dream alive. And we have a global framework for reducing disaster risks, the Sendai framework for DRR. While UN DRR and the midterm review of this framework in May found that progress is not where it needs to be, an ambitious political declaration committed countries to accelerating resilience building with renewed urgency. 125 countries now have national strategies for disaster risk reduction. Yet half of those countries still do not have multi-hazard early warning systems. And here, India's stewardship of disaster risk reduction is a bright spot that can be an inspiration for others, for many in this room. India's early warning system for cyclones, for example, covers the entire coastline, an extensive coastline, and has helped reduce cyclone-related mortality by 90% over the last 15 years. Heat wave action plans at local levels have reduced deaths resulting from heat waves by over 90%. The recent zero death toll of Cyclone Biparjoy earlier this summer demonstrates what can be achieved through effective preparedness, early warning, and response systems. India's own midterm progress review against the Sendai framework has identified important trends, opportunities, and challenges that can be very relevant for the global level. One of the most cost-effective risk reduction methods, indeed, is the early warning system. And this early warning systems for all initiative, spearheaded by the United Nations with India's support, helps bring the message that just 24-hour warning of a coming storm, for example, can reduce damage caused by over 1/3. India, which has long been a voice for the Global South and a provider of assistance through South-South cooperation, brought us, for example, just about to conclude the G20 summit and presidency, leading to a consensus, SDG-focused New Delhi Leaders Declaration. So aligned with the SDGs, I like to call it an SDG 20. And now I'd like to recognize all of those here in the room who were instrumental in launching the G20 Working Group on Disaster Risk Reduction for the first time within the G20, bringing DRR to the forefront of the G20 process, which will be taken forward by Brazil, and after that South Africa and onwards. the 5 priorities that India highlighted at the G20 were the need for universal coverage of early warning systems, disaster and climate resilient infrastructure, national financing frameworks for DRR, post-disaster recovery, reconstruction, and rehabilitation, focusing on building back better, nature-based solutions, and ecosystem-based approaches for DRR. All of this is an important step forward to achieving rapid progress. So to close, dear colleagues, I would like to reiterate that, as has been mentioned, disaster risk reduction is an integral part of development, an integral part of just climate transitions and climate action and the 2030 agenda. We need climate justice. We need disaster resilient infrastructure for all. So as we look ahead in the coming few days from now to COP28, we have great hope for important decisions on funding the Loss and Damage Fund that will help those countries who have contributed the least build their resilience in the face of climate change. And we look forward to the Summit of the Future next year to ensure that the multilateral system created in the aftermath of the Second World War is fit for purpose for today's world. I thank you, all of you here, for your dedication, and I reassure you of the United Nations commitment to be your close partner in this journey. The resident coordinators, the UN country teams in your countries, when you go back home, please reach out. They are dedicated to being your partner in this journey. I look forward to the rest of the conversations today. Aaj ki charcha achi rahe. Bahut bahut dhanyawad.
थैंक यू सर। हम आपके इस सूक्ष्म उद्बोधन हेतु आपका हृदय से धन्यवाद करते हैं। Ladies and gentlemen, now we have amongst us Admiral Devendra Kumar Joshi, PVSM, AVSM, YSM, BSM, Lieutenant Governor of Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and the Vice Chairman of Islands Development Authority of India. Sir, it is a rare honor for us to have you amongst us. As the guest of honor, Admiral Joshi is a highly decorated officer, and he is associated with the Uttarakhand War Memorial Trust. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together because Sir has contributed all his current and future annuities for gallantry awards and decorations towards this Trust of Uttarakhand War Memorial in July 2020. Sir, we welcome you on behalf of the organization.
Honorable Chief Minister Shri Pushkar Singh Dhami ji, CS Dr. Sandhu, Dr. Shombi Shah, UN Resident Coordinator in India, additional CS, other distinguished delegates seated on the dais, academics, scholars, subject matter experts, distinguished delegates from what we are told is more than 50 friendly foreign countries, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I wish to express my solidarity towards the workers trapped in the tunnel collapse in Uttarkashi. I am confident that rescue efforts by Uttarakhand administration under the able guidance of Honorable Chief Minister will be successful and that very soon we'll hear some good news. Uttarakhand and Andaman and Nicobar Islands are geographical extremities of our very vast country, but both are frequently impacted by various disaster situations. Uttarakhand has had many tragic occurrences, and ANN Islands too bore the brunt of the tsunami in 2004. Just during the last 1 year, we experienced 23 tremors and earthquakes of less than 5 magnitude on the Richter scale. In fact, 2 of them just yesterday morning, and 9 earthquakes or tremors of more than 5 magnitude on the Richter scale. Additionally, we've also experienced in recent years 18 cyclones. Under the visionary leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, ANN administration is committed for development of disaster-resistant islands. Dedicated efforts are going on with holistic, multi-hazards and technology-driven strategies along with emergency operation centers.